Welcome back. So, Greg, what are some of the major trends that's happening now, given all these things that's happening?
Well, there's
Tightening
still,
of standards.
well, certainly disclosures and issues about related party. Who is exactly a related party? Because you have to disclose all of that now. But what is the one critical issue that is, I would say the jury is still really out, is whether you really should separate your chairman from the CEO. Just prior to the 2008 crisis, there are many companies who started separating the chairman's position of the board from the president and the
Ano
CEO.
ba rule ngayon? You cannot have both chairman and president position.
There is not a hard, that's not legally binding, but it's encouraged
It's
to be separate.
encouraged.
To be separate. But what happened
And the
in 2008,
CEO cannot be the chairman. The chairman cannot be CEO.
that is the trend, that should be separated. But in 2008, when the crisis happened, in the West, they started combining again some companies because they thought that in crisis management, you have to be agile, you have to decide quick. So they've started, in crisis management, they said we probably may need somebody.
Usually, body
to
chairman is
control.
the one who presides during board meetings.
And the board meetings. Policy,
Policy.
the board is supposed to be responsible for policy. They're responsible for defining or at least approving the strategy by management. Hire and fire management. Reward management, the board. So if the CEO is the board also, how do you fire himself?
You can't fire yourself.
So those are the very
Ang
clear
CEO
conflicts of
naman
interest.
siya ang day-to-day management,
Yes.
pati medium and long-term
Yeah.
strategic direction.
Yes, it's strategy, management, day-to-day operations. And the board is supposed to monitor if that is all happening and reward or punish them. So if there's no distinctive line between the board, the chairman, and the CEO, so how do you do that? It becomes an old boys club.
Yeah. So for us, where are we now in that?
So
sense?
now, as a rule, chairman and president are separate. They
Are
two
encouraged to be separate. Are encouraged.
Supposed to
It's
be
not yet a rule.
Is there a
but-
company
but
that
that's
combines
best
both?
practices.
Listed company, chairman
I
and
think there's
president?
still quite a few. I cannot name a few, but there's still quite a few.
So where are we now, though?
We are moving towards separating that. I think that's a good practice. We believe. The other trend, which is not yet here, is what we call prohibiting rubber boats or uninstructed proxies. Because the typical thing is, they ask you for your proxy, you just sign it and then you give it away. But in the West now, the trend is for the proxy giver to exactly put in his proxy what should you vote for. If it's an incentive, let's say they're adopting certain bonuses policy, you have to say if they're approving or not, you're adopting CSR programs, you have to say that. Because otherwise, the trend is to set that aside if the vote is uninstructed.
Because how it's being done now is you don't
That's
even
the trend
say.
now. Now
you don't
you
even
just
say
give it
what-
away, just sign it.
Yeah.
So there's a flurry of proxy gathering. Everybody wants to get a proxy because then you could get yourself elected
That's
into the
right.
board. No? So that's the other trend. Of course, diversity in the board, women, more diversity in the board.
Meron ako napansin, ang hirap mag-hire ng accountant. Especially the SMEs. Kawawa naman sila. Di ba pwedeng tulungan naman sila? Bakit ba puro big time na tinutulungan nyo?
That's not true.
It's
That's
not true?
That's not
You mean
true.
I can get an accountant from
Yes,
you?
but that's not true. Look at this. Look at the statistics. Every year, we probably get 20 to 22,000 new CPAs. New CPAs. Pwera pa yung hindi nakapasa. So these are new CPAs. The accounting firms, as the big 4 or 5 of us, between us probably only hire less than 8 or 1,000 of those CPAs. So
Where
does
are
the
those
20,000
remaining 20,000?
That's the good question. Where are
fun.
they? No, they're mostly BPOs.
BPO hindi nag-accounting.
Hindi nag-accounting because the BPO is very attractive. A lot to go abroad. Our competition is not really local. Our competition is abroad. All the people that have lost this last year, and our attrition is something like 30%.
30%? Ang
95%
leave your
of them,
company every year?
yes, 90% of that goes abroad. Magagaling yan, Pilipino. Wala kang, and you cannot compete. How can you compete?
Saka another thing, it's very difficult to get an honest accountant.
Marami namang honest.
Wala.
You just hear about the dishonest ones more quickly, more often, but that's not true. And maybe you're telling them to be dishonest because they only follow the orders of the president or the CEO. They're not empowered. The accountants
So
are
can you
just
tell in
record
But it's-
to
but it's
our
still
audience
hard-
that companies who need accountants, they can approach you?
Yes, we help. We help people who want because
Even
now
SMEs,
with the social networking and everything else, that's easy there. In fact, there are many in the provinces. We are hard put to convince There are many good graduates in Davao, in Cebu, in Cagayan de Oro, become CPA top-notchers. And they don't want to move to Manila. They want to stay there in the provinces. And they're ripe to be picked up by the SMEs there. And they're very good, I can tell
Napansin
you.
ko lang, wala pang accountant na naging Miss Philippines.
Which one?
Wala pang accountant na naging Miss Philippines.
No, I think there's one.
Meron? Sino?
Yeah.
Meron architect.
Architect, but I think there has been at least business.
Usually, HRM, mga ganyan.
Well, there's certainly a lot of very
Kasi
beautiful
napansin ko, pag
accountants.
accountant, tatanda kang dalaga, sa dami ng trabaho.
That image is gone.
Gone, is gone. So how much does an accountant, a new one, for example, top 10 accountant sa board, how much will she or he get?
The
Pag
minimum
nag-hire
I would
kayo?
say is between 18 to 20,000.
18 to
20,000.
20,000?
That's the minimum. But the call centers pay as much as 25.
25.
So how do you?
So they don't practice their profession.
Yeah, because that's what, if you are, let's face it, majority of our people, these are not rich people. That's what 25,000 is a very attractive pay
For
for
a
anyone.
fresh graduate.
For
no?
anyone, for a top graduate. Because minimum wage is what, 12, 13,000?
Bakit ba kailangan ng mga BPO ng accountant na call center agents?
Because these are trained. These are trained, and if you're top of the class, because many schools now, if your grade average is less than 85, you're gonna take accounting. In fact, even a third year and your grade falls below 85, many schools kick them out. So, because the Professional Regulations Commission say now that if the schools graduate accounting don't pass the CPA board exams, your license to offer accounting can be revoked.
Oh, you are one of the big success stories of accounting in the same league as the late Roy Navarro, di ba?
Well, he was my former boss. So, at that time when I was first hired, it was really just the top 10% of the class that's hired by accounting firms.
Yeah. Kasi parang accounting now is better than lawyering, no?
This is what these new accounting standards did.
Kasi at least one value of accounting, you're not required to lie.
Well, you're supposed to be independent of mind.
Sa lawyering,
and you're
parang
supposed
ano
to be. Because the definition is independent CPA.
Independent.
So
CPA.
whether you are in the company or in working for the company, you're supposed to be of independent mind. A lawyer is an advocate. He's an agent for you. So he represents you. An accountant does not.
Pari slave mo yung lawyer.
Oh,
Pero yung accountant,
that's
That's a
magigipagtalo yun
difference.
sa'yo.
yeah. An accountant under our code of ethics is supposed to exercise independence. So it's a very basic difference. A lawyer is your advocate. You tell him what you want to tell him to represent you.
So now the chief financial officer, that's the same pay
Yes.
scale as the president?
The C-suite is getting there. It's getting.
So
In
I
fact,
notice sometimes when a listed company makes a briefing, the president and the chief financial officer are there.
because you have to be able, because a lot of questions on financials come out.
So mas
In fact,
maalam pa yung
Oh yeah,
chief financial
because
officer.
the strategy is driven, although by operating people, you have to go to the CFO to fund it. Who's going to fund it? Everything ends up in cash.
Cash is king.
Cash
Yeah,
is key.
cash is king.
So you have to go to the CFO to get your money.
Especially in a crisis situation.
Yes, because he could withhold
Yeah.
funds from you and you're dead. So the CFO is very important.
So, Greg, what is your forecast given our situation? Are we in a crisis given what's happening globally? In the Philippines, how are
Bakit
investments?
ganon, Greg? In spite of the stringent standards, global standards, ang daming mga default. And it is not companies that are defaulting. Sovereign
It's
nations are
Countries,
defaulting.
in developed countries.
What happened to their government accountants?
Okay,
It's
before
a
you answer
government
that,
account.
we're going to cut to a short break. You're watching BIZNEWS. We'll be right back.